It's Monday, October 22nd, Tuesday, October 23rd, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North, on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. And we welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. The new store is coming very, very soon. And you can read up on our SOR news by clicking on the news section of our website. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. For the first 90 minutes of this show, we are heading down to Los Angeles to talk about the strange happenings surrounding a high-profile tourist spot, the Cecil Hotel. Also, with the infamous name, the Suicide Hotel, has had plenty of mysteries surrounding it. From the mass amounts of people killing themselves since it opened in 1927 to having ties to the Black Dahlia, other murderous people, and the weird case of Canadian student Elisa Lam. Tonight, blogger Josh Dean joins us from New York to talk all about this haunted building and what he's learned. Josh's website is joshdean.com. Hope you go and check it out. Then at the bottom of hour number 2, Olaf Phillips will come on in to talk about the secret space program and some weird, strange happenings around there as well. Josh Dean, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
It's very good to have you here, my friend. Now, let's learn a little bit about you before we get fully going. And actually, before we even start, I want to just say to our listeners who are now tuned in and wondering what is going on with our audio. Officially today, we were able to start with our radio wheel. What that means is everything is timed out. So the new show time is going to be about 9:06 p.m., 12:06 a.m. if you're on the East Coast. And the reason why we're doing that is we're preparing everything. So we had a little bit of a technical glitch. We're learning this story as we go. We're learning the audio as we go. Tonight is literally night number 1 with this, and we have to have it perfected by November 1st. And I'm excited about it. Everything's going to run real smooth. And we got Josh Dean on here talking about the Cecil Hotel. Josh, you're a blogger. You're somebody who is a journalist. You're somebody who has the credentials to really have a keen eye for some weird and strange stuff. Let's learn a little bit about you. How did you get involved with blogging and writing?
Well, yeah, I'm primarily a print journalist, so I haven't done a lot of online stuff. The Cecil Hotel piece actually was a digital feature for a magazine that was published by Medium for a time. But yeah, I've been a magazine writer for about 15 years. Before that, I was a magazine editor. I've written 2 books, and I just sold my 3rd one last week, so I'll start working on a book about Kelly Johnson and the Lockheed Skunk Works right away. I guess once I sign the contract and they write me a check. My most recent book came out a year ago, September, which was about Project Azorian, the largest covert operation in CIA history, which was the famous Glomar Explorer Russian submarine salvage operation, which was posing as a Howard Hughes mining trip.
Oh, wow. That sounds very, very exciting. Very exciting. Have you always been into these weird, strange stories?
I mean, I certainly have an interest in strange things, eccentric subcultures. The not outside or the outside the mainstream, although I do occasionally do mainstream stories too, but I'm certainly interested in pieces that are a little bit mysterious, or at least things that I like to write for large audiences about things that they probably haven't seen elsewhere.
And I can understand the want and need to do that because, as journalists, we get sick and tired of covering the same stories with the same sound bites, whether it's sports, whether it's politics, entertainment, or even regular type news. And you want a challenge. You want to be able to, put your own heart and soul into the story, and yet you've been able to create a vibe for that for yourself. How have you managed to do that and break through the drudge of everyday reporting?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have been working in magazines before they sort of plunged off the cliff. I mean, lately I've had to focus, to shift more toward, doing more books. I'm about to start a big podcast project. I will still do magazine stories as long as they exist, but certainly the publishing business has fallen by the wayside, and I'm not likely to recover. The internet has sort of killed print the way the internet killed music. So it's not easy, but I was never a person who was, I don't want to say I get bored easily, but I could never find anything I wanted to focus on. So by making myself not an expert in anything, but creating the skill to be able to report and write about anything, I could sort of make myself an expert on a superficial level so that I can have a 5-minute conversation about all kinds of things at a cocktail party, but 15 or 20 minutes later, I'm going to run out of information. So I think I learned pretty quickly, and I guess I have an eye for stories that interest me, which often interest lots of people, I find.
Well, you've traveled around the world. I mean, trying to find all of these really cool stories, from elephant polo to the Quidditch World Cup, or Quidditch World Cup, pardon me. I mean, it's very rare in today's day and age, though, that we have that type of creativity, whether it's online, magazines, or even on radio as a journalist. I mean, how did you get into this where you could use your own mind? Do you freelance? Is that how it's working?
Yeah, I've been freelance now since 2005, I think. Most of my professional career at this point. But I worked as a magazine editor for some time before that, and always realized that I wanted to write and not edit stories, but that enabled me to make a lot of contacts in the industry. I mean, I've lived in New York now for 20 years, which is where the U.S. publishing industry is based, certainly the magazine business. And I just sort of aggressively positioned myself as a writer, and one thing led to another. And like I said, I was, fortunate to sort of come up during the last generation of when magazines were doing really well, and was able to build a big enough sort of portfolio and resume and contacts. And then now I'm just hanging in by the skin of my teeth. Like I said, fewer magazine stories and more other projects. So things like, I don't do radio, but I am about to start a podcast project. So I'm even getting into audio.
Well, there you go. Welcome to the club, my friend. Welcome to the club. I mean, it just seems like it is all part of the process for what you were doing, because the reason why I wanted to get you on was because it's funny. My producer and I, we were talking about weird stories, and like twice in 1 week, actually not even a week, like 3 days, the Cecil Hotel came up. And we just happened to have a young lady on, an author out of Europe, who was talking about the Black Dahlia murders. And that's kind of what we had going with the Cecil Hotel. Now, you ended up having a really good conversation, or really good blog and article about the Cecil Hotel. What interested you about this?
So, yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned earlier, there was a time, for a short time, I don't know, maybe it was 2 years, Medium put out a professional magazine called Matter, which is where they were hiring journalists and like investing budget and time and resources into sort of long reported stories. But they were looking for things that had kind of a internet-y flavor to them. And so one of the editors there had asked me if there's anything that interested me that I thought might fit that, I guess, broad and narrow categorization. And it was in 2015, I think. It was about 2 years after Elisa Lam, the Canadian girl that you mentioned in the intro, had gone missing. And I had been kind of following it, not closely, but I was aware of it. And as it sort of metastasized into this like very internet viral story, the mystery of what happened to this woman, I mentioned it to the editor, and he said, that sounds kind of great. Why don't you go out and see if there's really a story there? And I started poking around, and I realized that it hadn't been solved. I mean, arguably it still hasn't been solved, but it wasn't just that there was this girl who went missing in a hotel that's had this legendary sort of, people, all kinds of things have happened there, and then people believe other things that haven't happened have happened there. It's taken on this legendary sort of mythical reputation, so much so that Ryan Murphy's American Horror Story Hotel was loosely based on the Cecil Hotel. So it was a journalistic mystery. There's a girl goes missing in a hotel, but it wasn't just any hotel. It was a hotel that has this incredibly rich history that has fascinated people, and especially I think since the internet's taken off, it's become one of those places that your people who are into the supernatural probably know the Cecil Hotel.
Totally. Now, were you always a fan of the paranormal and the strange and weird?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm a paranormal enthusiast or even necessarily someone who follows it closely, but I am very interested in weird and strange. So I guess the answer is sort of yes, not specifically like the paranormal, but if I can find ways, I'm a journalist first and foremost. So, to me, there has to be something. I need kind of a fact-based point of entry, so a place to look for real answers. But I'm perfectly happy for those things to be, in some cases, maybe beyond my understanding, or at least mysteries that can't totally be solved. And then this story fits into that category where it's like, we'll probably talk about it, but even though there is a conclusion that the police reached and that I probably subscribe to, if I had to pick one answer, it's still not totally solved. That will remain a mystery forever. And I do like that. I like being surprised. I'm happy to invite the possibility that I will never understand certain things.
Yeah, it is kind of strange because, this is a hotel that was built in the late 1920s, 1927 to be exact, and everything seemed to be going swimmingly until 1931. How much history did you study up on the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles for this piece?
Quite a bit. It wasn't the main character in the story. The story was about Elisa, but the Cecil was certainly a supporting character because I think, as I said in the story, if it had been, a girl who'd gone missing at Hampton Inn in Los Angeles, it's not that it wouldn't have been news, but it certainly would not have taken on the all the other layers that sort of fell onto the story. Most of them had to do with the fact that it was the Cecil Hotel, which was, many verifiably dark things happened there, and then all kinds of things that people have sort of ascribed to it or described it as, up to and including, that maybe it's haunted. So certainly part of the story research was getting to know the hotel. And like I said, it wasn't the main character, but it's a background character. The story isn't the story without the Cecil.
Tell us about the area of where it is located, because for as weird and as strange as this place has been for well over 90 years now, this is still a very popular hangout and a popular hostel that many tourists and just road travelers alike always want to stay at.
Yeah, I think anymore that probably has more to do with its reputation as this paranormal hub / horror hotel. It's a tourist attraction for that reason. But yeah, it goes back to in the early 20th century. It was a big popular hotel, and then during the war, between World War I and World War II, it became a place where when soldiers were coming back through LA, a lot of soldiers stayed there and veterans stayed there. And then through the latter half of the 20th century, it sort of falls into disrepair as that part of LA becomes Skid Row, essentially. The thing about downtown LA is that you had corporate headquarters one block away from the most destitute people in the city. And to this day, even though downtown LA again is popular and incredibly trendy again, Skid Row is around the corner from the Cecil Hotel. You will see people sleeping in cardboard boxes within dozens, if not 100 yards of the hotel. And if you walk a couple blocks away, entire tent cities. So, downtown LA today is a strange mix of wealthy, young, sort of urban hipsters and extremely poor. A lot of course, because it's Skid Row, you've got drug addicts and, mentally disabled and all kinds of people in challenging conditions. And when you've got drug addicts and homeless, you're going to have crime and violence. And I mean, the police sort of allow them to exist. Because
on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on. I'm going to get you to hold on because we're going to step out for a break here right now on Spaced Out Radio. New schedule, new time slots. We're all getting used to it, so we will make it do here. We'll be back with more right after this break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
It's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch. Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything is an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Are you intrigued by paranormal talk radio? You'll love the new Paranormal radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Joshua Cutchin brings his most scary stories he's found in the paranormal. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Correction, that's 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. I got to change that on my script. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Remember, our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell, do we have a password? We don't have a password yet because this is new for Bill as well. Bill Cardwell will set the password next half hour, so hold off on your Cardwells just for right now. Our guest tonight is Joshua Dean. He is a journalist, freelancer, magazine writer, soon-to-be blogger, soon-to-be podcaster, joshuadean.com. We're talking about Los Angeles's Cecil Hotel, the weird, the strange, the untimely deaths of people in this hotel. It is so strange because literally since 1931, there have been more than 16 suicides or weird deaths in this place. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but in one location, Joshua, it is very, very weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you isolate the suicides, it may be not that weird, because I suspect any hotel of this size, 600 rooms in a big city, may have a lot. The thing about the Cecil is that that's not where it stops. I mean, the most notable, if we leave aside Elisa Lam, the story that I got into, which is a bizarre and mysterious, perhaps unsolvable tale in its own right, you had two different serial killers taking up residence in the Cecil Hotel. So it's a strange place. There's probably no hotel like it in the United States, perhaps the world. I mean, there are other hotels that have housed a serial killer at some time, but not probably as his primary place of residence. And here you've had two, one of whom was only living there temporarily, but still, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and then Austrian Jack Unterweger, who was perhaps inspired by Ramirez. He may have actually been a serial killer tourist.
Incredible. So when you have these serial killers staying there, it really adds to the entire genre of the freakiness of this hotel, that you never know who you're staying beside. You never know what kind of person mentally and physically is around you, male or female, is it?
Yeah, and I think the place is it's been through so many changes of. It was a normal hotel. It was like quite a luxury hotel, and then it was a sort of almost a home for soldiers. And then during the 70s and 80s, it got very run down and was filled with like drug dealers and crackheads. And I think that's the period in which serial killers kind of hid in plain sight there. Oh, well, Richard Ramirez first, and then Unterweger later. But probably when you say there's been a lot of death there, I suspect even during the crack epidemic in LA at its worst in the 70s and 80s, there were probably people murdered there that we don't even have records of. I mean, it was described to me that at the worst of it, downtown LA during that period was dangerous, and the Cecil Hotel was basically a Wild West where the cops didn't even want to go inside. So one suspects there might be dark stories there that we don't even know. But sort of the accumulation of all these things is that it became this mythical place. I mean, not mythical; it's a real place. Legendary for its spookiness and its sort of dark history, various strains of dark history, and that kind of all culminated then in 2013 when this woman went missing there, and that's how I fell into it. But when I scratched the surface, there's just all kinds of insanity that's taking place there.
What do the staff members think of everything that goes on and the reputation that goes around with it?
Well, by the time I went, they were pretty much on lockdown. After Elisa Lam, the 21-year-old Canadian woman, went missing there in 2013, it got a lot of national attention, and that case became quite infamous. And at that point, the staff were told really not to say anything, because I think something different happened. Now, that was well into the internet era, obviously, and that case became a fascination of people online. And I think you started to get tourists who went for that reason. And you also got a lot of amateur bloggers and videographers and people who showed up making videos about it and wanting to talk about it and wanting to do their own investigations. And I think the management of the hotel at that point told people not to talk about it. So by the time I was there, I couldn't even tell them I was a journalist. They would have kicked me out.
Really? They've got it that clamped down?
Well, at this point, they've now changed the name again, I think. At that point, so when I was there in 2015, I went back in 2016, it was still the Cecil, but the hotel portion, the hostel portion was, I can't remember if it was 6 floors, was being called Stay on Main. And after the press they got because of Elisa Lam's disappearance, they actually took down the sign that said Cecil and just replaced it with Stay on Main sign. And then now I believe that there's no signage that you would not know it's the Cecil anymore. The side of it was I forget, 30 30 stories, however many stories it is tall, had Cecil Hotel painted, and that had been there since the 30s, I think. I think even that has now been painted over.
So they're trying to give this place an entire facelift. But, I mean, you can't change the facade. You can put new paint on, but you can't change the place of where the building is. Everybody already knows where it is. I mean, so it almost seems really, really useless to try and change something that is actually making people show up, for as grotesque as that reason is.
Yeah, well, I think the reality of it is now it's been purchased, or perhaps it's been owned for a while by downtown LA. Has gotten so hot that developers have bought most of these buildings, and I know that even before all this happened in 2013, it had been purchased by developers who planned eventually to renovate it and turn it into luxury apartments. But the problem is that downtown LA is pretty strict because of the homeless problem and because of they're trying to have affordable housing. They have zoned certain buildings, and including the Cecil, as I understand it, that made it pretty difficult to convert to condo. I think it had certain floors that were basically designated as SROs, so they had to be made available for low income people. And what the developer was trying to do was to get that status overturned so that the hotel could become finally someday, a luxury apartment building. And you can bet that when that happens, if that's not happening already, and I actually don't know because I haven't been back in a while, that they'll scrub everything. Yeah, you can't change the shape of it, and people will always know the address, but I bet they'll put fancy new paint on it and some nice windows, and it'll have luxury apartments inside. But you're right, you can't change the history unless you're going to tear it down.
So when you started looking into the mysteries and the hauntings and everything that is kind of going on with that, what intrigued you the most outside of the Elisa Lam story? What intrigued you the most about this? Is there any hauntings or paranormal that you just kind of went, wow, that's weird?
There were no credible, hauntings was not an angle of the story that I was pursuing, and I don't know that. Obviously, it's often listed amongst LA's most haunted places, but I was looking for sort of things I could verify that had actually happened. So it was like suicides and murders and mysterious cases, and obviously the serial killers who had taken up residence there at some point or another. But certainly because of its reputation, I was hearing from people, several people that I interviewed who claimed to have stayed there and had powerful experiences, including one woman who was there when Elisa went missing. It turns out she didn't know that had happened, but she had described being sort of overwhelmed by the feeling of something bad happening there, and she ultimately had checked herself out. And it turned out that during the period she was there was the period that Elisa went missing. It's obviously freaked her out ever since. And I know if you don't have to dig far to find many people who feel like they've stayed there and experienced things that they can't explain. That did not happen to me. And like I said, I was really looking for hauntings. I was looking for more verifiable crimes and misdemeanors that happened there. But I think it's fair to say that many people have had that kind of experience.
Yeah, and, we're going to be talking a little bit about that next week because it's kind of weird how sometimes the scheduling works. Is we have you on talking about the Cecil Hotel tonight, but in 2 weeks' time, we actually have a gentleman named Lucas Klaukian from Vancouver whose parents actually know Elisa Lam's parents, and he actually wrote a blog in researching this entire Elisa Lam type project, which is really, really strange when it kind of comes down to it, because we definitely want to get to this story. It is so intriguing, but let's touch on it right now. What do you think happened there?
What do you think happened to her?
Yeah.
Well, in the end, I kind of ended up where the police ended up, I think. I mean, so basically, she goes missing and is missing for, I think, nearly a week. The police hold a press conference. They have asking the public for assistance. They release a picture. she's last seen in the lobby, but she's never seen leaving the hotel. So it seems like she came in and never left. And then when that doesn't bear any fruit, then they release this really bizarre elevator footage where she's acting. I mean, it's very creepy to watch. It just, even though I now know that it's been slowed down, which makes it look creepier than it does at regular speed. Even at regular speed, it's strange. So that was really the thing that made the story blow up. People saw that and thought, wow, this girl went missing and this video is the last we see of her. Like, that seems strange and inexplicable. I mean, what happens is once her body's found later, she's found floating in a water tank on the roof, drowned, unclothed, with her clothes in the tank. Information starts to come out that she had multiple psychiatric problems. She was on a number of medications, and the police conclusion was that she'd had some kind of psychotic episode or a psychiatric breakdown, and had gotten herself up on the roof and climbed into this water tank and couldn't get out, and that she drowned. And I mean, based on the evidence available, that seems to be the most plausible explanation. There were no suspects. No one else was seen with her on any cameras. No DNA or fingerprints on the tank other than her own. So can I tell you definitively that that's the answer? I sure can't, because we also don't have footage of her climbing into the tank by herself. And getting to the roof was not easy. It was possible, but not easy. Although I would argue that it's harder to take a dead body to the roof, because you would have had to climb a ladder carrying a body, which is, if you believe the hotel that the alarms were working, then someone climbed a ladder. And I can't really imagine someone doing that with a dead body, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, and you know what? What's really strange about that case is it was locked from the outside, I believe. And there's only a few people who had keys to get to that entrance, to that water tank.
Well, I think the tank, I've heard that. I mean, according to the hotel, that wasn't locked, but the door was alarmed. The alarm never went off, which means someone would have had to go out the window and up a ladder that was exposed to the outside. So you're talking about a 200-foot fall if you fell off of it. But then getting up the tank would not have been easy, and that lifting the lid of the tank was not light. For a woman her size, it would have taken quite a bit of strength. Again, not impossible, but sort of the accumulation of the various challenges. It's just such a bizarre situation, and the solution that's most plausible based on the evidence that is available is still not the easiest thing to accept, that this happened and she climbed up there and got in the water and couldn't get out and drowned. I mean, that seems to be the most likely outcome, but there's plenty of reasons that you could say, I don't believe that. And the sad truth is, I don't think we'll ever know, and her parents will never really know exactly what happened. Because even if that is the answer, it's sort of like, well, did she just stop taking her medication? Did she take too much medication? Did something happen to her in the hotel that night that scared her? Did someone frighten her or chase her? I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know, and we never will know. And I think that's why this story, we'll be talking about it for a long time.
When you look into the other cases that are there, and especially the amount of suicides, like you said, with the 600 rooms that are available there, did you compare it at all to other hotels of that age and that nature, to the suicide rates or anything along those lines?
No, I didn't. I mean, I suspect it was, that's a lot of rooms, and it's been there a long time. My guess is that it's not abnormally high, but it seems high because of all the other things we know about the hotel. Now, like I said, it's possible there's things we don't know, that during the period in which the police were afraid to go into the hotel, who knows, people may have died there or jumped out of windows, and those things were not reported. But no, I can't say for sure that the number is higher or lower or the same. That's not something I did compare.
It's just the reputation that a building that's kind of eerie looking gets. I mean, I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the Tower of Terror that used to be at Disneyland, that was kind of slightly based or loosely based off the Cecil Hotel as well, was it not?
I actually don't know. But, I mean, it would make sense. I think that it'd be hard for us to find a more sort of famous quote-unquote horror hotel. I think certainly, and now because of the American Horror Story Hotel, which sort of cemented its status now in history, that's based on, as I understand it, Ryan Murphy, creator of the show, saw the video of Elisa in the elevator, and it really freaked him out, and then he sort of fell down a rabbit hole from there, and we end up with American Horror Story Hotel. So, you just add all of these things on top of it, and it becomes this. Like I said, I'm not sure there's a more famous horror hotel in America.
Would you go back? Would you stay there?
Sure. Yeah, I actually didn't. It didn't creep me out, surprisingly. I'm not easily freaked out, for one thing. Also, I found that at least the rooms I was staying in, which was part of the hostel portion, there were a lot of like just random European backpackers around. It felt like more like, a Belgian backpacker hotel. That said, once you got above the hostel floors, I did some wandering around the upper floors. It was a little creepier up there because those were like the SRO floors, and it was really quiet. I never saw another person up there, and there was just sort of weird, like on one floor there was like some kind of religious sermon playing over the radio. That was a little eerie. I literally did not see another human up there, and I don't know whether that's because most of those rooms were unoccupied. I think most of them are, or if everybody was like, nodded out on heroin inside or what. But the rooms where they rent, not so creepy. The upper floors, I could definitely see. I'm not sure I'd want to sleep in one of those apartments.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you whatsoever. What was the vibe of being in there? We got about 3 minutes here before we got to go to break again. But what is the vibe of and the feeling of being in there from a guy who, like yourself, is very skeptical, is someone who really doesn't want to believe in the entire paranormal genre type aspect? Tell us about that.
Well, I went in there kind of expecting to be freaked out, to be honest with you. So there's something about the decor of the way the hostel floors are done that they're kind of done in this like cheap IKEA style that like, almost intentionally to make it not seem creepy. I don't know if that is intentional or not. And the lobby's sort of like, Greco-Roman art and marble, and almost you can like feel opulent in a way that it would have been back in the early 20th century. But there's definitely, like I said, there's definitely kind of an ominous, creepy vibe on. There's something about big old hotel floors with like not a sound on them. Like, you can imagine. I did not wander around those upper floors after dark, I should say. It probably would have been even more disturbing. I distinctly remember stepping off the elevator on, I think it was 13 or 14, and hearing the sort of religious sermon and standing there waiting for someone to appear and no one appearing. And I didn't linger long, so. It felt a little ominous to me, but not overwhelmingly so.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do that because, as much as I'm into the eerie and the strange, I'm not really into the murderous or the whole death aspect of everything. Death really just doesn't do it for me.
I think that's fair.
I don't know. Something about that kind of freaks me out. But then again, knowing my curiosity, I would probably head in there just to check it out. But as we got about a minute here before we got to go to break, is it something that you would check out again? Do you think it's absolutely worth looking into the mystery?
Yeah, I would check it out again. Although I suspect, if it hasn't happened already, we're within the narrowing window of it becoming a luxury condo hotel, because knowing how valuable real estate is becoming down then, and knowing the way that what I see here in New York, the way developers are frantically turning everything old into something new, I bet it's only a matter of time until the Cecil Hotel is like, has a glass front and a spa.
Yeah, that's all we need is a new spa. My friend, you hold on. We're going to go to our second break of the night, our break at the top of the hour on our brand new schedule here on Spaced Out Radio. We're getting used to it, but we got Josh Dean for one more half hour before we bring in Olaf Phillips on the mighty SOR tonight. Josh Dean's website is joshdean.com. If you want to check it on out, we would appreciate that. And we will be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up from you right after this, because, while you're looking at it, go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and check it on out. Talk to you in a minute. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. the SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Joshua Cutchin joins us in his most scary stories that he has found in the paranormal. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Altschmerz. Altschmerz is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You could rock out to Bumblefoot soon. Shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store. It is coming with some brand new swag. Read up on the SOR Newswire and so much more. For the final time tonight, we introduce Joshua Dean. He is a writer, journalist out of New York who has written a great story about the Cecil Hotel and the high strangeness of crime, of murder, suicide, and strange death of the Cecil Hotel in L.A. Joshua's website is joshdean.com. Josh, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Very much appreciate you taking the time.
Happy to do it. Up past my bedtime.
Well, we're up past everyone's bedtime on a nightly basis, but hey, we got to get it done. And, I know we only have you until the bottom of the hour, which is really cool for you to come on up. But getting back to the Cecil Hotel in regards to the strangeness, I mean, looking through a lot of the recorded deaths at this hotel, it amazed me with all of the suicides that kind of happened that so many of them were by some sort of poisoning. It's almost like people went in there to poison themselves. Did you look at that?
No, I mean, I don't think I know that. Was it a disproportionate number were by poisoning? I thought most people jumped out the windows, but maybe I didn't pay as close attention to.
Yeah, it's almost equal. It's almost equal in people jumping to their deaths and other people just poisoning themselves. I mean, gunshots just aren't what they used to be. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, poisoning yourself is a hell of a way to do it too. I don't think that's not a typically very popular way to commit suicide. I think one, probably because there's a good chance of screwing it up. Well, two, it's probably also very unpleasant and doesn't end quickly. Not that any of it seems very pleasant to me, I should say, but and certainly suicide is a terrible thing. But poisoning is. Are we sure that wasn't Putin's handiwork?
Well, I don't think Putin was part of the Spetsnaz back in the 1940s when a lot of this was happening. But I mean, with the deaths that have happened there, I mean, was this just a congregation of mental health patients looking for a cheap place to stay while they contemplated their future? Is that kind of what you're thinking it is?
I mean, I think just for the most of its recent history, or not recent, more than recent, decades and decades now, until very recently, it's just been kind of a down-and-out place and a down-and-out part of town. So I guess it's more likely the kind of place that's going to attract people who are not doing well, whether that's drug addicts or mentally disabled or, just broke and in trouble, wandering. Because it's been quite some time. Like I said, downtown LA is in a resurgence now, and it's headed toward becoming luxury condos. But for decades and decades now, that part of the city has been, even though parts of it are fine, and like I said, you'll find some corporate headquarters, there's blocks, and that's on Main Street. Main Street has been a pretty rough block for quite some time. So I guess, the logical answer to that would be that it's just the kind of place that attracted people who aren't doing well, and the people who are probably more likely to do bad things, whether that's commit suicide or take drugs or hurt other people.
Do you think it's an aura of the area that attracts people there, like those who are destitute there, or do you think that maybe there is something a little bit more supernatural going on after everything you've figured out?
Yeah, I mean that's hard to say. Like I say, I'm as a natural skeptic, I'm probably going to say that it has more to do with the just the area and the circumstances, socioeconomic circumstances. But I don't think it's unreasonable to think it could be the other explanation too. Certainly, I don't know what attracted Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, to live there. Probably because at that time it was such a war zone. If you're a serial killer in the crack era of downtown LA, that you can kind of just hide in plain sight. I mean, actually, one of the local historians described to me that Ramirez would come back in like blood-soaked clothes and basically just take them off in the alley behind the hotel and throw them in a dumpster, and that he probably wouldn't have been worried about that at the time because it wouldn't have been unusual to see a crazy-looking person covered in blood. I mean, which sort of sets the tone for what it was like. And why a serial killer might feel comfortable booking a room and coming and going for a period of months.
No kidding. I mean, that's kind of eerie. I mean, anywhere else, when you see somebody walking around in blood-soaked clothing, you're going to be suspicious.
You call the police.
Yeah, you're going to call the police and say, this is a little strange. I mean, Richard Ramirez, if I recall, this is also the gentleman who went on the dating game, was he not?
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yeah, I mean, he was like a sort of, I think, a handsome, charismatic guy who just happened to be a psychotic killer. And he kind of terrorized LA for, I think, 2 summers. It was quite some time. The story of the other serial killer who lived there is maybe even more interesting. He's an Austrian named Jack Unterweger, and some have argued, chose the hotel because of its Ramirez had stayed there. So he was an Austrian who had murdered a woman, a prostitute in Austria. He went to prison, kind of cast himself as this reformed person, started writing books, became a journalist, gets released from prison early for good behavior. Turns out starts killing women again in Austria, but doesn't get caught. And an Austrian magazine actually hires him to go to Los Angeles and write about crime in LA. Because this is, I think in the 90s, I think this was the 90s, maybe late 80s. LA is still a crime-ridden place. So they send the former killer turned journalist to LA, and he rides along with cops and who are arresting and kind of harassing prostitutes. So he finds out where all the prostitutes are hanging out, and then he murders 3 of them while he's pretending to be a journalist writing about them. Eventually goes back to Austria and is arrested for some other murders and commits suicide in prison. So it's just an insane story, and I think probably he chose the Cecil specifically because of what it was.
Yeah, and I guess you have to worry about that copycat type thing, because everybody who has a hero, whether they're of a magnificent proportion, maybe, somebody in sciences or athletes or whomever it may be, or whether it's of the lower form of serial killers, people always like to copycat and retrace steps. So I could see where the owners of the Cecil now, even though it's under a different name, would really want to try and change that attitude, so that way it may scare off a few people who think, well, maybe it was torn down. Maybe, it's a different building, different ownership. Who knows? But that copycat is really a problem in society in general.
Yeah. And I think certainly when your business or your real estate becomes known as this sort of place of darkness, you're going to do everything possible to change that image. I'll be curious to see what the branding campaign is for whatever apartment complex ends up in there, because I think forever, or certainly for the foreseeable future, people who are interested in this stuff and go to LA are going to have it marked on a map, and they're going to stop there and want to go in the lobby and take a picture. And even if it has a totally different name and a completely different facade, I think people are still going to want to go there.
I apologize, and thank you, Tim, for correcting me. It was Rodney Alcala who was on the dating game, not Richard Ramirez. That is my fault. So we want to get that out there. And, we always like to get the facts out there instead of the fake news stuff that I just kind of reported there. But nonetheless, with this hotel, with the amount of cases that are even unsolved there, how much mystery goes into this entire building? And do you think there's still a lot of answers to the secrets that are being kept from police still inside the building?
I don't know. I think that's hard to say. I think some things that people consider mysteries, like the association with the Black Dahlia, from what I can understand, she did not stay there, but she was in a bar that was either next door or connected to the hotel. So at some point, I think the night before she was killed, that she probably had drinks in the bar, either adjoining or on the same block or something. But so she kind of gets lumped in by association. In terms of active mysteries, I think certainly in recent times, the Elisa Lam story will probably forever be talked about as an unsolved mystery, even though the police closed the case and her parents' wrongful death suit against the hotel was dismissed. And, like I said, I probably subscribe to the answer the police have offered, but I don't think you can ever consider that to be definitively solved. And I think that because, I think a lot of the people who got fascinated with that story are probably younger folks online, especially because of her age. And I think she was a tourist, a kind of college student traveling on her own, which is something a lot of people do or would like to do. They're fascinated with that story and probably will never be satisfied with the answer they've been given, because something about it is, even the truth, if that's what it is unsettling. And there's just enough unanswered about the story that I think it's going to be considered an unsolved mystery forever.
At what point, though, would you like to see, even out of your own journalistic curiosity, would you like to see some of these floors maybe taken apart and looked at to see what is found behind walls or in cracks of rooms that have been filled in? I mean, I could just imagine what would be found there. I mean, that's a building for a picker's paradise. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, certainly if they're going to do demo in there, I'd be very curious to see. You're right, like what's inside some. I would not be surprised if they find some literal skeletons and closets there. In addition to God knows what else. Are there secret passages, hidden floors? Yeah, I mean, sure, I'd like to know. And certainly, it will become condos at some point, and someone will be doing demo in there. But I don't think they're going to be like inviting in camera crews to film that. I suspect that's all going to be on lockdown.
That is too bad. Too bad for the owners to kind of do that. But, I mean, you can't blame them. They got a business to run and, place to expand on for their own mighty dollar. But, I mean, you have to wonder now, coming from a paranormal background, they tear that place down, or even if they refurbish it a lot, that is known to stir up the paranormal activity, man. And they may be actually, when they do refurbish or tear it down and rebuild, they may be actually making this new place even worse for hauntings.
Yeah, and there's a certain customer who's probably attracted to that. You might be able to rent some number of apartments to people who actually like a haunted place, but I suspect that's not something that most people are looking for in a home.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I would want to live in a building that is knowingly haunted like that.
Yeah, me either.
That just sounds real creepy. Honestly, it sounds real creepy, and I'm not sure if I'm old enough to experience such things like that. You know what I'm saying? I really am not sure. But nonetheless, I mean, that's kind of the way it is. I mean, I guess the freaky part about it is we're not talking about like an old ghost town. We're not talking about, a haunted building that has been around for 150, 200 years. If you look at, to reference the United States, say going back to the Gettysburg days or something along those lines, we're talking about a facility that, now, the fortunate part about it is hasn't had a death since 2015 of the strange variety, but still, you have to wonder about what is left there for everybody else to see. And you got to wonder if a lot of the psychosis that could be caused in that building is caused by the effects of what has happened there in the past.
Yeah, I mean, cause and effect, or does it attract people who are more likely to I don't know, be affected by energy? Does it attract people who are looking to get into trouble? I don't know, but certainly will be, even long after the Cecil Hotel is whatever it will become in its next life, the so-and-so condominiums, it will be, people will be talking about this century of strange stories that happened there.
So when you look at it, and you've heard that developers are looking at doing something about it, have you heard any timeline of when this may happen?
Well, I know it was bought by the time, even by the time the whole Elisa story took place, it had been purchased by wealthy developers who I think have bought up everything in downtown LA. But the way it was explained to me was just that the city council regulations or the zoning on those buildings, especially older ones with a lot of apartments, had certain restrictions on, you couldn't just kick everybody out and convert to condo. If you were providing subsidized housing, which I think certain floors in the Cecil were, some kind of lower income housing, that there wasn't like a time frame on it. I think it was going to require the city council to basically redesignate it as a place that wasn't affordable housing. And I think politically that's a hard thing to do in LA probably. So I don't know that it's imminent, but I also could be totally wrong about that. And developers have a lot of money, and money talks in American politics, as you may have noticed.
Well, I like the comment on Twitter by Mr. Skeptic. He is saying, don't fail to have Geraldo there when they demo the Cecil. He's got a proven track record. That is funny. that is completely funny. Although you can't rib Geraldo too much. He used to have that really good power mustache, so you can't rib him too much for that. So, nonetheless, I mean, yes, Al Capone's vault was a complete bust. It was a complete bust. I mean, how much were we on pins and needles for that one? Way back in the day. Yeah. Jason or Josh, you may not have even been born when that happened.
Oh, I remember. I was young, but I remember it. But it's also sort of lived on as, in journalism as like one of the most embarrassing moments. I feel like that's the kind of thing where you really need to know with 100% certainty that what you think is going to happen, or you should not be doing it live on television.
So what do you think? With it's very difficult to get information from any staff members who work at the Cecil and getting that information, what do you think should happen to that building, in your opinion? Should it become a historic site, or, we know it's up for redevelopment eventually?
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not sure that it's in anybody's interest for a place that's had that many sad and tragic and horrible things to happen. I'm not sure you're not going to get any political momentum from making a memorial or historical designation. I think it'll be sort of a cultural icon and a supernatural and horror tour stop. But I think that trying to wipe the clean maybe is not a bad idea. I mean, I think we can all agree that maybe that'll never totally work, and that only people who choose to not read anything about the place's history are going to move in there and feel totally cool with that.
Yeah, I can see that. Go ahead.
It's a marketing challenge, to be sure.
Well, the interesting part about it is, and I guess out of my own sick-minded curiosity, is that I am very curious to know if they've have a sign up at the front door that says we haven't had a death here since, or in so many days. I mean, June 13th, 2015 was the last time a man was found outside the hotel dead, but they thought there's some conjecture whether or not he committed suicide from jumping or not, and the death hasn't yet been determined. But nonetheless, I mean, you have to wonder, in regards to this place, whether or not they got a days without a death count in there. I mean, come on.
Well, that's also not great for business.
No, it's not. But I mean, if you're going there, you got to accept the consequences. It's like the downtown east side in Vancouver, as sad and as sullen as it is. People who go down there know they have a very, very short lifespan because of the heroin, the fentanyl, and the crack and the rough lifestyle that goes into Canada's poorest neighborhood.
Yeah. And that part of LA is not a hell of a lot better, I have to say. I mean, improving fast, but also a lot of drugs and problems in that area.
So with the Cecil Hotel, as we start to wrap things up here, we only got about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight, and thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. Do you think that some of these mysteries, whether it's Elisa Lam or some of the dozens of unsolved deaths in this facility or tied to this facility, do you think that as they move forward with the Cecil that we'll ever be able to find out these answers before they just become part of Los Angeles's folklore?
No, I don't think so. I'm not sure there's any interest from people who own the hotel, work at the hotel, police departments. I think people would rather not be having these conversations at all. Those people who might have the authority and wherewithal to get answers or even to discuss things publicly. I think anyone who's in local government or ownership or even employees would rather just try and move on and enter whatever the next era will be. Whether that's actually possible or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's too bad, because that means a lot of families are not going to get any resolution. And it's unfortunate, but on the political side, and when capitalism talks, sometimes it's people and the families who have to suffer. So that it's kind of a downer there.
Yeah, I think, I can speak mostly about Elisa's case. Her parents did sue the hotel for wrongful death. I think they weren't satisfied necessarily with the answers, but if nothing else, they wanted that, they felt like, okay, if what you're telling us is true, if she got up to the roof and died by some kind of freakish accident, like, why did the hotel allow that to happen? Like, how should a person be able to get up into the roof and get into a water tank in the first place? Like, that's
absolutely
not something that should be permitted.
Josh, we have about 20 seconds. Tell everybody your website so that way they can get a hold of you, check out your work.
Sure. You can find this story or lots of others, links to them at joshdean.com, as well as my latest book, which is also a crazy story about the biggest covert operation in CIA history. Also a lot of mystery and intrigue around that one.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have you back for that, my friend. That sounds very interesting, like it's something that we need to do. It sounds like something we need to do. Joshua Dean, thank you so much for being on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up after this, we have Olaf Phillips joining us. We're going to talk a little bit about the secret space program. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back after the break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social media freedom can take care of that for you. Social media freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play.
Escape Watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the show, Joshua Cutchin, paranormal author, will join us starting at 9:06 Pacific, midnight, or 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Altschmerz. Altschmerz is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. We can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. We bring in Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine tonight as we are going to talk about the secret space program, some of the weird and strange topics that are happening around that. Olaf, welcome back.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Good. Before we get started, I want to just go through our audience some of the changes that have happened here, because we kind of caught a lot of people off guard here. So the show now, as of tonight, is we've been working on the technical side of Spaced Out Radio here for a number of months, and we got a great tech team led by Amy Martin. Great tech team. And with that, some of the changes that you make have to come on the fly. And that's kind of what we're doing tonight, is because we got all of our audio kind of built in the background and all of our computers and everything. And some people are saying, you know, this studio doesn't really exist, but it truly does. People have seen it. People have been here. And we've been working our tails off to get this audio going. And we've been working our tails off to get everything up and running for a November 1st launch, where we are going to be able to broadcast on terrestrial radio and a lot more stations than what we are used to. So what we've had to do over time is we've had to rebuild the entire, well, not rebuild, actually build an entire frame and computer generated time clock that the terrestrial stations want to have. So that way, we've added now, as of tonight, a break at the bottom of the hour. The top of the hour breaks have come. There's a lot of things that are missing. For instance, Bob Davis, who is the voice behind introing me. We got to get that back in there. We've got to get some audio figured out. We got to add some commercials. We're figuring out the tech side. So, like, for instance, during the break, when all of a sudden everything kind of went to dead air, we had one of our programs shut down that we had to restart. So, I mean, it's all these little nuances and little tech glitches that we are going to go through here, and that we have to go through here until November 1st. Because if we don't go through them now and do live tests the way we are during our interviews, then we're not going to be able to get everything ready and perfect for when it is official go time. So I thank everybody for your understanding and your commitment to allowing us to kind of shift on the fly, as they say. So we are working on it. We know the glitches, and my tech team, they can jump into the computer here at any time they want to fix something or to correct something. So that's kind of what we are working on right there with a lot of this stuff. So also, with the breaks, I know I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, Dave, when you make changes and you're adding that break, are you adding any more commercial breaks? The answer to that is no. We are not going to be doing any breaks in between the half hours. All right. The reason why we have the bottom and the top is radio stations, when they come on board, they will want to have time for their news, their weather, their sports, their traffic, their own commercials and their station identification that they are going to play. So I'm telling you all this because I want all of you to be very understanding and cognizant of what we are doing and what we are going through here in this big shift. We're going to be adding new commercials to our end as well, because that is something that we want to do, and we got to keep them fresh. We're not going to have the same commercial runs all the time. We got to add more, and we're going to be doing that over time. We're going to create some new commercials, some great little PR things, and once everything is up and going, you guys will always be attention, because that's one thing we like to do, is keep all of you kind of in the loop of what is going on around SOR headquarters here. So just bear with us. We're getting there. We're almost there. And this is kind of we're tightening the screws, as they say. Tightening the screws. but that's just kind of the way it works. Olaf, how you doing, buddy?
Doing all right. How are you?
I am good. You know, it's funny because when I was in terrestrial radio, I was, you know, so used to working on a clock. And then you get into this online world of broadcasting, and you forget about the clock, you know?
Oh yeah. We were recording our podcast last night. And you know, we we try to keep it to about an hour. Usually it's like an hour and 3 minutes or whatever. But you know, we were having a conversation, and the next thing we know, it's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. No commercial
that's kind of the thing that we're looking on. And you know, with my tech person who is working on the other end of my computer, you know, little things you have to work on. And Amy and her team have done such a great job of putting this all together and putting, you know, I'm just so ecstatic and thankful that they were able to help out. And Amy has done such an incredible job with everything. I can't speak highly enough of her. Really cannot speak highly enough of her and the tech job that Tim over at Deep Talk Radio has helped out with as well. So it's been really cool to try and get our sound up from an internet tinny type sound to a more mainstream broadcast level, which is pretty much where we're at right now, and we're ready to kind of jump and take on the world. But you got to get used to the clock. And
the clock is killer.
It's your lifeline. It really is your lifeline. I mean, it's actually the way it's built for me is so easy. I mean, they have made my life so easy. All I got to watch for is the countdown. That's all I need to do is watch that countdown, and then everything fires on its own, which is really cool. And I got a new mute button. So right. I should not be screwing that up anymore. But, you know, as far as levels go, I mean, these are the things you have to test live. You know, the levels of the audience, the levels of the music, the levels of the intros and the extras and everything like that, because they may be coming in hot on my headphones, but over the radio, they may be too low. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that we need to work on pretty efficiently, and that's something that we'll be working on over the next couple of days. So once again, my space travelers, I ask all of you to kind of just, you know, give us a couple of days here. We're testing on the fly. We have to do it. There is no choice. And, you know, I want to read Dale's comment here. He goes, Dave, all of these improvements and glitches and techie stuff is exciting, not annoying. This is huge fun. So don't worry about it. This is the excitement that a builder feels while the building is going up or the engineer is debugging his design in the lab. These are the best times. Thank you so much, Uncle Dale. And that's why you have the power stash of the chat room. That is why you have the power stash. You earned yourself a mustache gift just for that. We're going to type that in there. So, Olaf, one of the reasons why we brought you on a little bit earlier today was because of the fact there is some weird, strange things happening in the world of the secret space program. And this time, it has nothing to do with what is happening in the skies above. What is going on?
Well, there's quite a controversy brewing that Corey Good has decided to trademark a whole series of words that are related to the secret space program. So, you know, obviously he's a proponent of the Blue Avians, so he has trademarked that. The Blue Avian Alliance, the Blue Sphere Alliance, a whole bunch of stuff. But the one that he has, and 20 and back, whatever that is, but, well, I know what it is, but whatever. The one that is causing an uproar is that he is attempting, he has not had it approved, it is pending issuance, but he's trying to trademark SSP. an acronym for Secret Space Program. So a lot of people are very upset about that.
Why would he try and do this? Is he trying to own the market? Is he trying to make himself the only guy in the world that can talk secret space program? What's going on with this?
No, I mean, he can't trademark Secret Space Program. I mean, that's just impossible. He'd never get it through. And in his own, he had a rather lengthy response to why he's doing all this. And he says very implicitly, I'm not trying to trademark Secret Space Program. But what he says he's doing, and it is true, is that he's trying to trademark all this stuff so that you can't use it. So, let's say that I met some blue avians. I joined the Secret Space Program tomorrow. They descend on my house and say, "Oh, I've come and join the Blue Sphere Alliance." Well, I can't, if I decide to tell my story and say, yes, I was a member of the Secret Space Program and I was in the Blue Sphere Alliance and I met the Blue Avians, I can't say that anymore because, well, I mean, I can say it, but I can't print it or use it commercially because he's trademarked it. So what, I said this on a previous show that, it's very much he's seeking to protect the money machine, that these are concepts that he has come up with, and they're intrinsic to his story, and he is trying to trademark them to protect other people from using them and telling his story. So if I were to write an article and say something about the Blue Sphere Alliance, I would have to put in there that it's trademarked by Corey Goode. I mean, it doesn't stop me as a writer and a researcher from using it, but what it means is that I have to give him credit for it. That it, whenever it's used, he has to be given, a reference. And he's protecting the money machine.
Well, I get that. This has been something that has been going on a long time, and I'm not quite sure how trademarking works in the United States, but what are the chances that he's going to get all of these acronyms and little slang sayings actually trademarked?
I don't, my gut instinct, having gone through a trademarking process, I mean, I have the trademark for Paranoia magazine, of course, but going through that process and trademarking stuff, I have had trademark rejected because it was considered too commonplace, and they very much research it. So I think his ability to trademark like SSP, I don't know that he'll get that one through. But the other stuff, yeah, probably. He probably will. But it begs a question, and he actually addressed it kind of oddly. But one of the people, he was responding to questions, and one of the questions that people asked him was, well, if this is a real thing, and other people are in this program too, by you trademarking it, they can no longer say it. So if they write their story, they can no longer talk about the Blue Sphere Alliance, which they were a member of, because you've trademarked it. And he had a kind of roundabout way of saying, well, if they're legitimate whistleblowers like me, then we'll make an account for that. They can register with me, and then I'll let them use it and whatever. It's like, okay. But the bigger question is, and I think this is a very important one to ask, is that when you trademark something, right, that it has to be unique to you. It has to be something that you came up with. For example, I can't go and trademark Project Aurora, which is a top secret plane, because it is an actual project in the United States Air Force. So I can't trademark that. Air Force projects, military projects can't be trademarked. If the Blue Sphere Alliance is real, then his ability to trademark it is limited. He can't trademark the Blue Sphere Alliance if it's real and he didn't create it. He can't trademark blue avians if they're real and they're a thing. You can't trademark that. So by trademarking this stuff, in some ways, it's kind of pointing out that, well, he came up with it, right? That makes it smack of fiction. Because if he invented the blue avian, sure, he can trademark that because it's his own creation. But he can only trademark it if it is his own creation. So it makes you wonder, right?
Well, I mean, if they give it to him, they must believe that there is no such thing, and heck, why not let this guy play in his fantasy land? But if they say, no, we don't know if these exist, and if they do exist, we can't give it to you, that kind of opens up the conspiracy theorists, and the tinfoil starts coming out on the trademark area of the government as well.
Right, I think it cuts both ways. If they give it to him, it's like, okay, well, I guess he created it then. And if they don't, as you said, it says, oh, maybe it's real. And it doesn't innately mean that it's real. It just means that the trademark office has reason to believe that it could potentially be a thing that he did not create. Because if you didn't create it, well, you can't trademark it, right? And it has to be intrinsic to you. So, for example, I could trademark my name, Olaf Phillips, because it's intrinsic to me. My full name is my own name. I could attempt to do that because it's fairly unique. If I was Bob Jones, probably not. It's too common.
What is the reaction, as we only got a couple minutes here before we got to go to break again? What is the reaction from people involved in the research of the secret space program?
From what I've seen, it's humor. To be blunt, I mean, I think a lot of people who seriously look at the topic discard a lot of the things that he says. And there's a great example. He did an interview once, and he said that there are Nazis on the moon, and he said that they have a base on the moon that's shaped like a swastika. And it's like, okay, well, he lifted that out of a movie called Iron Sky. I don't know anybody who's ever done any research on the whole notion that there are Nazis on the moon that think that they have a base shaped like a swastika. I mean, that's absurd. But he fronted that in an interview, and he lifted it right out of Iron Sky, which is a movie from Finland. So, I think a lot of people who are very serious about it, they kind of look at it as he's protecting the money machine, and they don't. I think a lot of people who are serious about it discount a lot of the things that he claims. I know I do. I don't believe him.
I understand that, but I mean, there is a lot of people who seem to be speaking out against him and basically said it's the ego of popularity that is really getting to his head rather than the message.
Oh, yes. Yes, and I think the other thing that's at work here is that there was some sort of split. There were two splits. One is that him and David Wilcock no longer get along, apparently, and that him and David Wilcock separated from Gaia. Gaia is a corporation that sells like yoga mats, yoga balls. They also have a TV channel on Roku and other stuff called Gaia TV, and Corey Good and David Wilcock were embedded within the Gaia complex, and Gaia was pushing them very hard, and there was some sort of a split there. So they're no longer communicating or talking to each other. Something bad happened. So I think coming out of that, he's also probably smartly trying to trademark some of this stuff so they can't use it. They may actually be the people that he's after, not somebody like me going, well, SSP this, SSP that. It's I think it's probably more about Gaia and David Wilcock.
Yeah, it's something that is, I can understand, wanting to protect your brand, wanting to protect your research, especially if there is a cruel partnering. We only got about 35 seconds left before we got to go to break here. But nonetheless, when it comes down to it, do you think he's going to be successful with this?
I think he's going to be successful partially. I don't think he's going to be fully successful. I don't think like SSP, because it was in use before he ever came on the scene. I don't know that they'll give him the acronyms, but some of the other stuff like Blue Avians and Blue Sphere Alliance and all that, I think, 20 and back or whatever. That's actually an interesting one. We should probably discuss that after the break, but I think they'll probably issue those, but I don't think they'll issue like SSP. I'd be surprised.
And on that note, we will be back with more Olaf Phillips talking Secret Space Program right after this on Spaced Out Radio, Hour 3 coming up. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepieces are life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, author Joshua Cutchin comes in to talk all things paranormal. We get going at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome in everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free on our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and it is Altschmerz. Altschmerz is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine is here with us tonight as we are taking a strip off of the SSP. Are we even allowed to say that, Olaf? SSP.
Oh. Well, if he gets it, you'll have to say the SSP trademarked by Corey Good. I was thinking about this in the break, right? There's one thing I've always had a problem with in ufology and conspiracy stuff. I get that you want to protect your ideas. The way copyright laws are written, the minute I write a book, it's copyrighted. But I think that in certain cases, the objective of the person who's doing these kinds of things becomes very obvious. And when I see what he's doing, it's so authoritarian that it just smacks of, I want to own the market and push other people out. And it smells like that. It just gives you a bad feeling. I mean, I own the trademark for Paranoia Magazine, right? I don't think anybody's going to look at me and go, well, that's a bad idea. And I think that if he was just after the blue avians, that's cool. I can see the bluebird people. I don't care. But it's like SSP and then all these acronyms. It's like he went through a thesaurus for everything that's secret space program, but not secret space program, that he's trying to copyright it. And that just, it doesn't, he's within his rights to do it, but it doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And I don't think it's a good idea.
Is this an act of bullying? Is that what it is, or is it an act of trying to protect what's right for him?
I don't think it's bullying. I think he's trying to protect himself, and I'm all for that. But at the same time, I think he's taking it a little too far. But then again, it goes, what I was meaning to say before is that, I've always, in conspiracy theory and in ufology, there's the group of people that are really passionate about it. They've seen something, experienced something, they're confused by something, whatever. And they go out and they try to do the research, they try to find the truth, and they're on their own quest to find whatever it is they're trying to find. And that's true of you, me, a lot of people I know. And then there's another group, and the other group is trying to capitalize on it, and they're trying to monetize it, and it's all about the money. And it's like, it's one thing if in the process of telling your story or a story or the story or whatever, you try to, you monetize that. I mean, hey, I wrote 2 books, right? But my attitude's always been, look, I wrote 2 books. Search for me on Amazon. I'm there. You want to buy the book? Buy the book. You don't want to buy the book? Don't buy the book. You want to talk to me about the book? Talk to me about the book. Whatever. I don't care. I didn't write the book to make money. I wrote the book because I needed to. And I think that when things like this happen, it kind of shines a light on the individual. And it's like, well, did you write the book because you actually experienced this? And did you write the book because you're passionate about it and this is your thing? Or did you write the book to make money? And it starts to have a very unsightly smell. It smells like money. And you can always tell those guys, especially at a convention, you can always tell those guys where it's like, you're in it for the money. It's like this to the Stars Academy. I get it. Tom DeLonge's interested. He's passionate about it, whatever. But it's like you engineer this whole thing, and it's about making money. And that's fine. You're within your rights to do that. But it doesn't mean that it's a good idea. And I think a lot of times it's not handled well, And I think it turns people off because it's like, are you in it for the money or not? I've always maintained, look, believe me, don't believe me. That's your choice. Listen to what I have to say. Makes sense? It makes sense. If it doesn't, we can talk about it or you can dismiss me. But I'm not doing this for your approval. I'm doing this because this is my thing and I'm passionate about it.
No, I completely, I think it completely makes sense. But on the flip side, there are so many people involved here, whether it's you, whether it's Michael Schratt, whether it's Dr. Michael Salla, Alfred Weber, whoever it may be, or as cuckoo as some of the people may be in this field.
Yes.
there are a lot of people using these terms, and they've been using them for decades. So for me, it looks like a complete bullying tactic that he is trying to create a brand out of nothing in order to keep his followers worshiping, if that makes sense. And I mean that in the most politest of terms.
Of course, it makes sense, but I wouldn't say that it's bullying. I'd say that he's trying to control them. I don't know that that's necessarily bullying per se, but he's definitely trying to strong arm the market. You know, I don't think that Corey Good knows who I am, right? I mean, I saw him at Contact in the Desert, and he avoided me. So he obviously knows who I am. And I don't agree with him. I respect his right to say what he says. And I hope he did have those experiences because, you know, he writes about it, and he seems interested in it and whatever. You know, I don't buy all of it, but hey, he may not buy all of my stuff either. That's fair. That's cool. But I think that what it is that he's trying to carve out as much of the secret space program niche as he can. And that's fair too. But I think that when you act that way, when you do those things and you act that way, it doesn't look good. It doesn't cast you in a positive light. You know, you're telling a story. And when you're telling a story, you know, the reader or the viewer has to believe in what you're saying. There's an intrinsic relationship there between you and the reader. They have to be interested. They have to want to read it. And I think that when you do things like this, it's totally legit to do. It's not wrong per se, but when you do it, I think that it damages your relationship with the reader. Again, I've always told people who follow me, fans of me, read me, whatever, that read it, take it at face value. If you don't like it, that's fine. You know, I do it because I'm passionate. I'm not making $1 million out of it, and I'm still waiting for my Illuminati check in the mail. But, you know, in the near term, I enjoy doing it, so I do it. But I think it changes the context. When you do something like what he's doing, and you become very litigious about it, and you're sending out cease and desist letters and these other things, I think it casts a bad light on you.
Isn't it a little dangerous though to be sending out cease and desist letters when you don't have approval for those acronyms being trademarked yet?
That's kind of bullyish. That is kind of bullyish. You know, but yeah, I mean, again, you know, it's not enforceable until you have the trademark. Until it's been issued, it's not enforceable. But, you know, by doing this, by sending out cease and desist letters, I don't think that it works well for you. And the truth is, you don't have to, you know, if you're the guy who came up with the Bluebird people, you know, you're gonna own it. It's not like, and well, you know, and he makes references when people see my movies that are coming out. Okay, I'm waiting. I'll wait for the movies to come out. We'll see if they ever get made. Because there's not copious amounts of money in this. And I think when you make statements like that and you get egotistical and arrogant about some of this stuff, and you think you become self-important, and you do things like this, I don't think that it works well for your relationship with your fan or with the reader or with the viewer. I think that if you're more humble about it and say, you know what, this is my thing, and I've researched it for my entire adult life, and this is what I figured out, that there's a bond that you establish. And I think that bond is broken when you behave in that way. But again, he's perfectly within his rights to try to trademark it. More power to him. But who cares? I mean, my attitude has always been, who cares?
Well,
you know, you read my book.
A lot of people who cares.
Who cares? Well, there's at least two, and that would be Corey Good and the lawyer that filed the trademark. But I've never worried about it. I've never ever worried about it. You know, if I figured it out, somebody else will.
I understand that. For people who don't know who Corey Good is or who we're talking about, you and I obviously know who we're talking about here, and many do.
Yes.
But there's a plethora of listeners out there who have no clue who this guy is. Could you take a couple of minutes and describe who Corey Good is and what his background is?
Sure. Well, Corey Good's from Texas. He, to keep it brief and simple, he says that he was recruited into the secret space program when he was young, and he went on missions in the secret space program, and that he's interacted with tall blue bird people, or he calls blue avians. I believe they travel around in sphere ships. That's where the sphere thing comes from, and he portrays himself as a whistleblower who's cracking the nut on the secret space program and let everybody know what's going on. And he talks about different groups within the secret space program, different alien groups and how they interact. And there are bad aliens, because you have to have bad aliens. And the good aliens are helping us with the bad aliens, and the good aliens are trying to help us save the planet. That's it in a nutshell, as far as I know.
Yeah, and for people who don't understand the whole idea of super soldiers, I mean, this is where you get into a lot of strange stuff. So you have to think of to put it in movie terms, projects like the Manchurian Candidate, or why is it all of a sudden the name?
Well,
the Bourne
the
Identity.
best one, the best example is the Lebensborn program, that the Nazis carried out what's called a eugenics program, where they mixed and matched genes. And at that time, they didn't have the ability to really do heavy gene splicing. But, they were trying to build a Superman who'd be like a ultra super soldier. Universal Soldier, Roy Batty in Blade Runner. He's probably a great example. He's a super soldier. Genetically engineered soldiers that are stronger, bigger, faster, smarter, and that can go fight your wars on other planets. I like to think of Universal Soldier because I like Kurt Russell, but that's kind of what you're dealing with here. But the Lebensborn program, the Germans tried to do that in the 40s by mixing and matching, genetic characteristics to build up what they called the Übermensch, which is a Superman. It's a concept from Nietzsche. So we've actually seriously tried to do this. That's not science fiction.
Do you buy the whole super soldier program, whether it's Corey Good, whether it's the late Max Spears, whether it's Randy Kramer, aka Captain K?
Captain K.
I mean, for a lot of people out there, this sounds just way too far-fetched, even if they're tinfoil wearing people.
Oh, I wouldn't put it past us. Like I said, the Nazis attempted to do it in the 40s. I mean, it's called the Lebensborn. And, they had, in their case, they were more consumed by racial identity. So it was about racial characteristics, blonde hair, blue eyes, taller, bigger, more muscular. And they would mix that, it was so bad that if an SS officer wanted to get married, they had to do a racial profiling of his soon-to-be wife to make sure that she carried the right characteristics, so that their offspring would be, genetically pure and racially pure, which I think is insane, just to make that clear. But I wouldn't put it past us. I mean, PCP, angel dust, that was an attempt at that kind of thing, where it was something that you could inject or snort, and it would make you super strong. It was a tailored narcotic that makes you super strong. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw a guy on PCP once, and it was utterly insane. I was given a tour of a police station down in Southern California, and they showed me the rubber room, and they were like, "Oh, this is the rubber room," chuckle, chuckle, right? And there was a guy in there that was completely nuts. I mean, the rage and insanity in his eyes was just something that I cannot ever forget or describe. And he was literally tearing the foam off the walls. And, that is a drug that was engineered to try to make people super strong. So it wouldn't necessarily put it past us to have attempted it. I doubt very highly that we've achieved it. I think that someday in the future, we will probably manufacture them, kind of like Blade Runner. But again, like Blade Runner, we'd probably put a shortened lifespan on them so that they can't try to assume control, right? Because they're thinking beings, so they'll be like, hey, you guys are weaker and stupider than we are. We're going to take over. So I think they'll engineer ways to stop that. But I suspect in the future they'll be able to manufacture test tube, entities, beings that they can engineer to fight.
Well, I mean, that is scary when you're playing with human genetics. It really is scary.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, in the end, I mean, if you're building soldiers that are there to fight these wars that are or allegedly going on, whether it's in space, whether it's on our planet in rogue areas, it's eerie to think that the government is doing this superhuman type testing, and they've been doing it literally since the Nazis in World War II.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have. Somewhere, I'm sure that off and on they've been testing it and seeing if they could perfect it. I mean, we've seen various other things that have come out, like LSD experiments and MK Ultra. Those were mind control tests where they were trying to be able to program people's brains or use LSD in interrogation to get the truth out of people. Brainwashing and conditioning. David McGowan wrote a great book called Program to Kill, which is about, the whole Manchurian Candidate kind of thing, programming people to be assassins. I mean, it's something that we've worked on. It's just, that's like deep, dark, super secret kind of stuff. I mean, I haven't met anybody that I know my friend Ron has, but I've never met anybody that was part of one of those programs. So I don't know, I know what I've read, I know what I've researched, but I've never known anybody directly who is a product of it. So, I'm always a little worried about it, but I'm sure we do it. I'm sure there's drug cocktails floating around that they're injecting people with to see if they can boost their, stamina and endurance and strength and all these other things. I mean, look, you just have to look at steroids, right? The East Germans had an entire, state-sponsored doping program. The Chinese in the last Olympics, they had a swimmer that was engineered to have webbed fingers and toes to, speed up their swimming. I mean, we do it, but it's on a very small scale. You have to actually know that it's there.
Are there a lot of these super soldiers out there? And if not, why, or if so, why have we heard from so few?
I don't think there are. I don't think there are a lot of them because I don't think that they've gotten it right yet. There is a woman that my friend Ron knows who could be classified as that, who was an assassin, but she's the only one I've ever interacted with. So I think that if these things are indeed being done, and there's evidence that the programs exist, but I think that if they are being done, that they haven't achieved stability and replicatability yet. So they're not in mass production, so to speak. Right?
Where would they be doing these tests, though?
My money would be on black sites. I would say probably black sites. Those are sites in third world countries where the CIA or the whoever will set up shop and they'll put a facility in. and the laws there are kind of sketchy, and the place is kind of sketchy. So they'll set up shop, and it's, it might be called, like Camp X or whatever, but it doesn't really have a name. And in the case of the Russians have a tendency to do this kind of stuff out in the hinterlands of their border, their satellite nations.
Right.
And they're very interesting about it. What they'll do is they'll actually build a city, and then that city will house the workers that work in these test facilities. And then, the people that work in the city support the people who work in the labs. So, you see that a lot with like nuclear research. They'll build like a city that's, around a lab that does nuclear research. And then when they're done, they'll just take everybody out of the city and basically let it turn to dust. So I think the Russians probably have some of those facilities out in the middle of nowhere, Siberia, or,
Well, didn't they find a Russian shuttle? Didn't they find a Russian shuttle in one of those abandoned places?
Well, there is a Russian shuttle. It's called Buran, and they did. It was sitting in a warehouse rotting. They had launched it once. It was part of the space race. They had launched it once, and then they didn't really achieve what they wanted to achieve out of it, so they mothballed it.
My friend, we got to go to break here. Our final break of the night here on Spaced Out Radio. Olaf Phillips will be back with the SOR News from Paranoia Magazine right after this. You're listening to the mighty SOR.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Hello, this is
Visit
Yogi Tallman.
purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Space Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. Joshua Cutchin is on tomorrow night on the show, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern is when we get going at spacedoutradio.com. We got Olaf Phillips here from Paranoia Magazine, and we are about to do our news. Why? Because we can at this point. That's just the way it goes. Let's get to the news, shall we? Oh, 1 second. The news is always changing around SOR as we go to the SOR newsroom, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. And Olaf Phillips, the editor-in-chief and the new president of Team Stump. I know you're on Team Stump, man. I totally know you are.
I want a T-shirt.
Oh, we will be getting T-shirts. The T-shirts will be coming very, very soon with the new store.
Cool.
What's in the news today, my friend?
Well, from livescience.com, China may soon have a second artificial moon. Moonlit skies over the Chinese city of Chengdu may soon get a boost from a second moon. Chinese officials recently announced plans to build an artificial moon, launching it to hang over to the Sichuan province capital city by 2020, Chinese news site People's Daily Online. The illuminated orb is intended to complement the light of the Earth's existing moon and will be 8 times brighter than the natural satellite. Wu Changfang, chairman of Chengdu Aerospace Science Technology Microelectronic System Research Institute Company Limited, the primary contractor for the Chinese space program, told PDO. Boy, that's a mouthful. In fact, the light of the artificial moon is expected to save the city money by doing away with the need for streetlights, Changfang added. The new moon will be capable of illuminating an area up to 50 miles, 80 kilometers in diameter, according to PDO. Though the human-made moon will light up only Chengdu, the glowing ball will be visible across China and even overseas, Asia Times reported. So there you go, 2 moons in the skies over China.
How are they going to keep that stationary, and how high are they looking to put it?
It's unknown how high they expect to put it. Keeping it in a stationary position, that's all about math and orbit. So it's totally doable. You can have a geostationary satellite. The bigger problem is that other attempts to do this have failed because they either generated too much light or they broke apart or failed. So it'll be interesting to see if they pull it off.
How much is something like this going to cost?
Oh, I don't know, billions. I can only imagine.
They would probably get more light if they, instead of spending billions on a new moon for light, if they worried about some of the pollution that's in their major cities that is literally knocking out the daylight and the moonlight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if you can actually see it, given the amount of pollution in some of these cities. But, that's a weather machine conversation that we can have some other time. Supposedly they have a weather machine.
Well, I had a buddy of mine, actually not just one, but a number of buddies of mine who I worked with in Vancouver, who all went over to Beijing to work on this English radio station there. And, probably 6 or 7 buddies who did that. And I'll tell you, I would have gone too if I didn't have my children. But, just for the life experience, even do it for a couple of years. Sure. I mean, I got a couple buddies there. They've been there like 10, 12 years now. And they're doing extremely well over there. But one of the problems that they had was the pollution. I mean, it could be middle of the day and all you see is smog. Like, there is no sunshine. People think Los Angeles was bad in the 80s and 90s. They have nothing on Beijing where there's like 20 million people.
Oh, I've heard stories. I've heard stories of what it's like. Yeah. Well, supposedly they're perfecting a weather machine that can actually blow that stuff out. But I don't know how far along they are on it.
Well, that's what they need to be spending money on, rather than building an artificial Chinese moon. I mean, that just sounds ridiculous, to be absolutely blunt.
Well, some of that stuff, I think, people do it just because they can. I think there's a lot of, they want to hang a second moon over China just because they can, and it is an authoritarian dictatorship. So, they can point to that and go, well, look at our successes. We made our own moon. So I think there's a part of that too. You can't take that out of the equation.
Oh, I get that. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And knowing that they will build it on the cheap with all the slave labor that they will have working on it over there. Sure. It just blows my mind.
Re-education camps are full of free labor.
Exactly.
No,
unfortunately.
This next one will blow your mind. You ready?
All right, let's get to it.
Man whose flatulence ended police interview pleads guilty. A man, Kansas City, Associated Press. A man whose excessive flatulence forced a police detective to cut short an interrogation has pleaded guilty to federal gun and drug charges. The Kansas City Star reports that 25-year-old Sean Sykes Jr. entered a plea Monday. The charges stem from a police traffic stop in September in Kansas City, Missouri, in which officers found a backpack with drugs and guns. Sykes was a passenger in the vehicle. A detective reported that when asked for his address, Sykes leaned to one side of his chair and released a loud fart before answering. Court documents say Sykes continued to be flatulent, and the detective was forced to quickly end the interview. Sykes will be sentenced on a later date after pre-sentence report is completed.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. So basically, in order to get back at detectives, he just started ripping them.
Pretty much.
That is disgusting.
That is utterly disgusting. But I thought, it's the kind of news we need to cover.
I am almost wondering if he has been a frequent flyer to the state prisons and figured, well, if I'm going back, I might as well cut the cheese a little bit and have some fun with a laugh going in to see the boys again.
You know what? I'm not going to deny that one. That may very well be.
Oh my goodness, that is terrible. That is terrible. I think we all dream of doing that in front of some authority who is trying to knock us down, but to actually do that, I know. And then the fact that, the double stub is he goes and pleads guilty.
Yeah. I like that. What's your address? Hold on a moment. let me fart.
Oh my
and
goodness.
It described it as a very, very large fart.
That is just that is horrible. Absolutely horrible. Oh my gosh. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. From Ripley's Believe It or Not, how many spiders are you swallowing while you sleep?
I'm going to say 2. 2 a night on average.
For some reason, many individuals have a strange and completely false belief that the average person while sleeping swallows somewhere between 8 spiders a year and 8 spiders in a lifetime. This is quite a jump in the numbers, but most people are likely to have heard at least one variation of this theory involving nighttime spider guzzling. Thankfully, the truth is probably you won't swallow even one spider in your sleep for your entire life based on a number of human and spider science-related reasons. Still, where did this belief come from, and why is it so prevalent? And then it goes on to discuss where the urban legend came from. But I thought, because I've heard 8 per night, I thought it was interesting that apparently you don't swallow any.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me.
That
really surprises me.
I mean, I've seen enough videos on YouTube of spiders laying eggs in people's noses and stuff.
Oh, man. That's almost as grotesque as when you see the videos of them like pulling spiders out of people's ears.
Oh yeah, it's gross. I saw one with a tick. It was really
nasty stuff. That's bad.
This last one is pretty mundane. This comes from the HuffPo. Pilot casually nails emergency landing on San Diego area freeway. Pilot instructor Ryan Muno was forced to land on Interstate 8 in El Cajon after the plane's engine lost power. It has a beautiful photo of him landing in the middle of the highway from a car that was like right behind him.
Could you imagine?
Apparently he did it.
Go ahead. You know what? I mean, there's a big reason why a lot of the highways across North America and the world have all those straight stretches, and that is mainly in case anybody needs to land on a highway. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there who don't know that.
Well, in the Soviet Union, they took it one step further. That in the Soviet Union, their I guess the philosophy on highways is that most of their highways were long and straight. But the difference is that American highways or Canadian highways, they're long and straight, so you can pull that off in an emergency. The Soviets actually built berms and turnouts at regular intervals on their highway system, so they could actually use them as airfields. A lot of their highways were actually used so in the event of a catastrophic war, they could actually use their highways as airfields, not emergency runways, but like legit, honest to God runways.
Oh, that's weird. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting when it comes to that. Well, I mean, you know what, though? Imagine being a person driving on the highway, and all of a sudden you look in your rear view mirror, and there is like a Cessna 182 coming in, or even like a Learjet coming in behind you because they need to land. I mean, at what point do you not scream, holy blank, and figure out, well, like, what do I do now? I mean, you can't outrun a jet that's coming in for a landing at 185 knots or whatever it is.
Yeah, I hear you. I think I'd probably be thinking, what the hell, about the time I saw it in the rearview mirror.
Exactly.
I think I'd probably slow down. Give them plenty of room because they're coming down whether you're there or not.
Exactly. Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we?
Let's do it.
I always love the thought of the Dave.
Well, it's the thought of the Dave. Of course you do.
Exactly. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, and then we read your responses on the air. So today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Would you stay in a hotel like the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, knowing bad things could happen? Olaf,
I don't know.
Let's get your response right off the bat.
I've stayed in haunted hotels thinking that something may happen, but I didn't stay in haunted hotels where I thought bad things would happen. So I probably wouldn't stay in one where I thought something bad would happen, but I would and have stayed in them where I thought something might happen. And the worst that ever happened to me was at the McMenamins Crystal Palace in downtown Portland. Something slapped me on the back.
Weird.
That was the worst. It was weird. It was very strange. Yeah. But not bad. I couldn't do bad. Weird I can do, bad I could not.
Very weird. Very, very weird. Well, let's read some of the responses that we got from some of our listeners. Debbie states, yes, 1, fear feeds activity and locations. Overactive imaginations can be bad when going to a place, and fear. I have witnessed many things that many would never believe, and this would be a laughing matter to me, honestly, considering my real-life experiences, and would love to help any spirits there needing it. Kelly, who has an incredible beard, he reads, I would. However, I'm closer to Las Vegas than Los Angeles. I would spend the money going to Vegas before L.A. Just seems like more fun to me. Me too. Me too.
And you can check out Charles Manson's bones.
Exactly. Coral, nope, not by myself. I'm told there's safety in numbers. Caden, why not? We only remember living one life. Might as well live it to the absolute fullest and take the power away from our fears. Jade, nope, because I don't like the negativity involved with that place. Add gnome. As long as you bring your lucky gnome, Mr. Scott, what could go wrong? Always got to throw a gnome comment in there. I am one with the gnomes now, add gnome. I am one with the gnomes. Chuck states, sure, I'd do it. At my age, excitement is hard to come by. Besides, plenty of people stay there every day with no problems at all. Robin, sure I would. Put me in the most haunted room and floor. I will be thrilled to be there for as many nights as I can be. Tim? Hell no. John Connor. Canadian Elisa Lam appears to have been killed there in the Cecil Hotel in January of 2013. Her body was discovered 2 weeks after her disappearance in one of 2 water tanks on the hotel's roof. The supposed killer was never found. Tony. Yes, Dave. Let's go do a hunt there. I'll be your bodyguard. Oh, wonderful. So I'm his Whitney. Thank you, Tony. Susan, I might, but I definitely wouldn't close my eyes. Marilyn, God, please give us a brain. Kevin, I stayed at a Motel 6 in Jacksonville, Florida once. My boss booked the room there on the same trip he booked my flight on Delta. I got bumped off 3 planes that morning because of Super Saver tickets. If I survived that cheap trip, I could survive the Cecil and any of its friends.
We've all been there.
Coop, yep, would take my Forest Moon Paranormal team with me. Penman, why risk it? Brent, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Oh, my goodness. These are some brave, brave people, man. Brave, brave people.
Totally. Very brave.
I don't know about this. Really do not know about this.
The negativity, man. The bad part, I just wouldn't want any part of that. I'll go into a place that's bad haunted, but I'm not going to try to sleep there. I'm going to leave.
Oh, I know. It's chilling. It's absolutely chilling. Oscar says, as long as there is a continental breakfast and a bar, I will be fine. Wow. That's I think that's where we're ending it on the thought of the Dave. That's just crazy. Crazy talk today. That ended up being a good one, man.
True, though.
Ended up being a real. I know. Mr. Ola Phillips, where can people find Paranoia Magazine?
ParanoiaMagazine.com. We're easy.
And what about your social media, man? Give us that. Give us something.
Well, you can get to it from ParanoiaMagazine.com. Facebook, we're Paranoia Magazine. Twitter, we're Paranoia Mag. And on Instagram, if you want to see all the weird places I go, Paranoia Mags.
Look at you go. Paranoia Mags everywhere. Paranoia Mags everywhere.
I have a thing for Cold War archaeology, so I go find old decommissioned secret transmitter sites. And
my friend, we got to get out of here. You can go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the news banner. Appreciate you coming on in, Olaf Phillips. Also, big thank you to Josh Dean talking about the Cecil Hotel. Tomorrow night on the program, Joshua Cutchin joins us talking all things paranormal. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Thank you to all of our listeners for checking us out tonight and helping us get this thing going. I know it was a strange night, but that's just the way it is. We'll try and make some improvements for tomorrow on the audio. Remember our new start time, 9:06 p.m., 12:06 a.m. Thanks for doing your part to help us make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. We'll talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.